All right, Chris. Thanks so much. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Hey there, Sam Ashers. I'm Dave Stutts. Welcome to Sam Ash Live, where we're looking at some trombones. I'm here with our resident expert, Jeff Galperin.
What's up?
Hey, Jeff.
Happy President's Day, everyone.
That's right. Happy President's Day to you, and also to you, Mr. Chris Palmer, who we pulled in to be our talent, our beautiful trombone player extraordinaire. How are you, Chris?
I'm excited to be here. Thanks so
for
much.
joining us. Yeah, of course. So we're looking at some trombones today. So Jeff, these are featured in our horns of distinction, correct?
Yes, these we're going to be showing. You can't see them all on screen because that would actually cover all of us up, and we know you love to see our faces. We've got 6 instruments from our horns of distinction collection. We have some new and used horns. We got some straight trombones, some F-trigger trombones, some bass trombones. These are just a sample of our horns of distinction collection. They're individually serialized instruments. They are high-end horns that we go over with a fine-tooth comb, and we want to make sure that these instruments are the perfect instruments for you. And we're going to be going over quite a few offerings from King, Conn, Bach, Schilke, Getzen, Courtois. We carry all the major brands, and we're going to have some fun for the next half hour, 45 minutes or so, going over all of these horns one by one. We got Chris Palmer from our Manhattan store, one of our one of our experts as well, here to demo all the instruments for you. Because if
so good.
Yeah, if I were to show them to you, you wouldn't want to buy a single thing because I cannot play these instruments to save my life. But that's what we call in the big guns. Chris right now is holding a King 2B trombone. King is one of the companies that really is responsible for the modern trombone. If it wasn't for the work of H.N. White, the founder of the King Musical Instrument Company, trombones wouldn't have really gained the popularity that it did. He made a lot of innovations. This, if you don't mind, if I just grab that, you want to just take a piece. Let me lock the slide. It's locked. This is the Legend 2B. This is a dual bore horn. Meaning that the bore actually changes taper from 0.481 inches to 0.49 inches. And it makes a little bit easier on the player. When you're going up and down the range, the resistance changes slightly with the horn. This is a horn that is very, very popular among jazz players, jazz enthusiasts. Originally made in Cleveland, Ohio. They're now made in Eastlake, Ohio. They are part of the Conn consortium. But this particular horn has been in pretty much continuous production for, I want to say, almost 100 years, about 100 years, and with very good reason, as you heard Chris playing as we got into the break. And it's a yellow brass bell, yellow brass slide, a very basic utilitarian jazz horn.
Awesome.
I'm going to have Chris give it another shot, actually.
So I have a question. So I noticed a lot of engravings. Now, I'm not a trombone guy. I do come from an orchestra background and such, so I've been around brass instruments. But are these engravings on the bell unique to each brand? Like, will you see that engraving on all the King horns and stuff like that, or is that just unique to that horn?
Well, the different King horns will have somewhat different engraving patterns. They tend to have the same pattern, more or less. When King, Conn, Bach, all these companies, as I said, as I mentioned, those past 3 are now under one umbrella company. The King engraving style is more or less the same across the board. Originally, when they were first made by the King company, they had 1 or 2 engravers, and they would make a very similar pattern. There will be some horns with more elaborate patterns. This is a yellow brass bell. King is also very famous for what they refer to as the silver sonic bell, which is a sterling silver bell, which is also an option available. They still make it to this day. That tends to have a bit more elaborate engraving, but it does follow a very similar pattern. It is, truth be told, purely a cosmetic thing. It does not really adversely impact or add to the tone. It's just something that make it a unique stamp, so to speak, on the horn itself. But without any further ado, I think we should have
let's
Chris.
hear it, Chris.
Yeah,
Hear a little more? Sure.
yeah, run it through its paces.
That's great. So as Jeff was mentioning, so horns of distinction. The idea is that you can go to the horns of distinction page from samash.com and from our spotlight page and see this exact horn. That's the idea. So Jeff mentioned they're individually serialized. So you get to look at all the pictures, and the horn that you're looking at is the horn that you're going to get. That's the one. And so what we like to do with the live is give you a chance to actually hear them. So we're really glad to have Chris in the house with us playing that for us. So, Chris, I noticed you kind of was sort of in the same vein as what Jeff was mentioning, a little jazzy on that horn. Is that something that you would agree with, that's kind of a jazzy sort of horn?
Yeah, King is really well known for especially having horns that are just great for jazz. So I know back home, one of my horns that I use when I play jazz and funk as well, like all that tighter kind of stuff, I use a King. And this horn's great for it. Super lightweight, really easy to get around.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what's known as a straight tenor trombone. Jazz players really tend to gravitate towards a tenor trombone without F attachment. They're very lightweight, very easy to play, very easy to get the kind of tone that you're looking for.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a stripped down horn based on some of the other things that I'm looking around and seeing. Like this one certainly has a lot more bells and whistles to it. That one looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So would it be odd to find that particular horn in like a wind ensemble or like an orchestra or something like that, or?
For the most part, yeah, you're not going to see one of these. It'll still work for it, but you usually
Right.
wouldn't use it. Usually, a lot of like classical musicians, especially for orchestras and larger ensembles like that, tend to want to use a trigger. Just they might have like a lot of extra passages that needs
Right.
them to be really smooth when they're going all the way out here. And
Actually, is a great way to transition to one of the next horns we have. We're going to show now the Conn 88H.
Sure. We do just want to say real quick that one of the big advantages of doing our live stream, which is now on YouTube now and Facebook, is that you can write in if you have any questions about any of the horns. Even if we move on to another horn, if you have a question, throw it on up. If you want to look more in depth at any of these horns, you can call 1-800-472-6274, which is 1-800-4SAM-ASH. You can call and ask for Heather. She is our resident expert in the call center on horns and woodwinds and brass and winds and things like that. So please feel free, throw your questions up, and we'll be happy to answer them. Jeff, what are we moving on to?
We are moving on to a Conn. This is the Conn 88H. Which stands for open wrap. It is, as Chris was just mentioning, this is one of the trigger trombones. It has what's referred to as an F attachment. This trigger right here lowers the pitch from B flat, where a trombone naturally sits, to an F.
Nice.
This one has a rose brass bell. You can somewhat see from comparing to the one that we were just looking at that the hue in this is a bit more reddish.
Sure.
Because it has a higher copper content.
Definitely see it.
The King over here is a yellow brass, which is about 70% copper, 30% zinc. This one is a rose brass. We're looking more at the 85% copper range. It makes it a warmer tone. It does, as I said, lend to a deeper hue.
So would you say that the King is brighter and this is warmer, or is
Yeah.
it not necessarily bright?
Yeah.
Is that a good word to use?
Yeah, you're going to
Okay.
see the yellow brass is going to be a bit of a brighter tone. These are both
Great.
hand-hammered bells, so the bells resonate very well. This is a bit of a larger bell, but the yellow brass is going to be a little bit brighter, a little bit more punch. Another reason why it lends itself to being such an excellent jazz trombone. This one is known as the Symphony trombone, but truth be told, there are many jazz players that will get along with this horn just fine. This one's a very flexible horn because it's the bell, while slightly larger than the King, is not incredibly large. As we'll see as we go down the line, the bells are going to start to get larger and larger, which relates to the horn getting heavier and heavier. But this one you'll be able to find both in a jazz setting and a concert setting, symphony setting, all around.
So this is our Swiss Army trombone.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great analogy.
Fantastic.
This is an open wrap. As you can see, the F attachment wraps up and out, as opposed to what's called a close wrap, which we'll be seeing next. It does change the balance a bit. It does make it a little bit more even-heeled, so when you put it on your shoulder. This is also made by Conn, and this week for our President's Week sale, which is going on all week, the King, the Conn, the Bach that we'll be getting to, they all qualify for 36 months, no interest, equal payment financing. So if you want to buy that horn today, you can buy this very horn and get 36 months, no interest to make it yours.
That's incredible. Take it away.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little. Sounding horn. I like that one a lot. That's great.
It's got a larger bore to the horn than the King. This is a .547 inch bore, which we will be seeing again in the next two horns that we see. That changes the resistance. It does give it a warmer tone. Again, one of the reasons why it's very good for concert and symphony settings.
It's great.
It's a bigger sound. It's a warmer sound. Not quite as punchy, but still very suitable for all playing styles, a very flexible horn. I think we're going to move on next to the Bach because it's actually a very similar kind of instrument, and we're going to keep the ball rolling.
No questions so far. Please feel free to throw up some questions if you have any questions about these horns.
So yeah, this one's still, it's, even for a symphonic horn, it is really good for like jazz and funk and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I heard it kind of, I mean, in my opinion, it started to sound like what I remember from wind ensemble and orchestra, but then you mellowed out into a nice jazz and it worked well too. It sounded great. Yeah. I like it.
Next we're moving
Great
on.
playing, Chris.
Thank you.
Next we're moving on to the Bach 42. This is also an open wrap F trigger trombone. This is from the famed Stradivarius line. Vincent Bach, the Vincent Bach corporations have been around also for about 100 years. They've been making, they're known for their Stradivarius model trumpets and trombones. This comes from the Stradivarius line of trombones. This one has a yellow brass bell, yellow brass slides. This also has the same size bore as the Conn, but you will notice that there are going to be some differences in the playing style. This tends to be found more in symphony settings, but it is also a good all-around horn because we're moving from the rose brass, the higher copper content, to the yellow brass. This is a one-piece hand-hammer bell, so it resonates. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to pick it up.
Careful now. Oh, yeah.
You can hear it ring out. And
Absolutely.
In a very good way when you're trying out any kind of brass instrument is, and one of the things that we do here for Horns of Distinction.
What do we do?
First thing that we do is besides inspect the instrument, make sure there's no imperfections, there's no blemishes,
right.
Nothing that we want to send back, which we have done. We actually did that recently. I found some smudges on the slide locks of all places, and I didn't like it, didn't pass the muster. So we send it back.
No smudges.
But what you'd want to do is with any kind of high-end horn, especially ones with a one-piece hand hammer bell, you have to make sure that when you tap it, it rings. Because if it doesn't ring out, the horn's not going to be a good horn. It's not going to respond well. It's not going to reverberate when you play it. This horn definitely does have that ring that you're looking for.
So to get your timpanist to rock the mallet off the bell, good idea, bad idea?
I would not advise
No good?
that.
Bad idea from personal experience.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Unfortunately.
I've been there.
This sounds like we have some stories to tell, but
No, just for another streaming event.
just with your finger, just a light
Gentle-
tap.
gentle flick.
Just tap it in. Just tap it. It's a tap-taparoo.
Now, this horn to me seems all business. It's not very ornate. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not a thick engraving or anything like that. It just seems like it is what it is. Just the working man's horn from a guy who doesn't know much about trombone. So please, Chris, am I wrong about this?
Actually, no, you're right. So yeah, this one, it tends to have more, it's still like Jeff was saying, it's still pretty flexible, but it is got more of a darker sound compared to like the two we just heard. So you do find it a lot more in symphonic setting. But it's, it doesn't have too many crazy things going on, so it's still gonna, just give you your simple, like straightforward open sound.
Yeah, there's not many bells and whistles in terms of the ornamentation. There's not a lot of elaborate graving. It's a Bach Stradivarius. All it really needs to say on the bell is Bach and Stradivarius, and you know you've got yourself a good horn.
So in the sonic world, it's interesting. We use all these words that we can think to use to try to describe sound. So far with this one, I've heard straightforward, I've heard dark. I can't wait to hear what that sounds like. Sure. Take it away. You have a way of picking like the perfect melodies for each horn, I think.
Oh, thank
you
you
just
very much.
you know where to go. You know where to take that horn. I love it. That's a great horn. I'd play that horn if I could. I like it.
It's again, and hey, it's President's Week this week. We're having a sale.
Maybe I'll get that horn.
36 months, no interest. Come on, man.
You know what? If you like it, you better beat me to it. I don't know. That might be my horn. Well, that's great.
Yeah. This.
As we said before, while they're changing trombones, you can check out any of these individually on samash.com. They will be serialized, individualized. You will be looking at these very horns while you're listening to them. You can check them out. Feel free to call 1-800-4-SAM-ASH. Like I said, you can speak to Heather. She's our resident expert on brass and woodwinds. To hear more and to check out more videos like this, you can look at our Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We're all over. And this is our first stream going from Facebook and YouTube. So we're very excited about that. So Jeff, what are we looking at?
Well, right now we're looking at a Schilke. Schilke is another American-made company. So far we're up to our fourth American-made instrument.
American-made.
This one hails from Chicago, Illinois. So a lot of Midwest representation. We got the King from Ohio. We've got the Conn, which is also from Ohio because they're now sharing the same factory in East Lake. And we got the Bach from Elkhart, Indiana. Now we are going to move on to good old Chicago. All these horns, as I said, have been inspected by us. They are individually serialized. This is another F-trigger trombone, same 0.54 inch bore. It's also an open wrap. We will be getting to a closed wrap eventually.
Tell me about this. This looks really interesting. What's this about?
Oh, this is the trigger that Schilke utilizes. Each Schilke instrument is built to order. Each one is very, very unique and individual.
Is that wood?
It does feel that it is rosewood, I believe.
Rosewood and steel or something like that?
Yeah,
That's really cool. This is beautiful.
It's got a much beefier trigger to it. This is a very straightforward horn. Schilkes are known for their sterling reputation, their sterling build quality. Schilkes, we have them available. Usually, if you go to most music stores, you want to get a Schilke. We'll see you again in 180 days, but here at Sam Ash with our Horns Distinction Collection, we've got them ready to go. One actually went out this morning. Schilke instruments are very popular with us. Without further ado, I'm going to have Chris play.
So to use a word that Sammy Ash has used to describe other things like our Guitars of Distinction program, these are the horns to be envied. These are the elite. These are what you want to see. These are tremendous horns, top of the line, elite, the coveted, envious horns to play. Chris, take it away.
Sure.
Chris describe that a little bit. How do you feel about that sound, the playability? What do you think of that horn?
One of the things I love about Schilke horns is they're always like really rich in terms of sound, and this one does not fall short of that at all. I really love it's especially for, I would say this is you can still use it for a lot of different things, but especially classical playing. This is probably one of the like higher end horns for that. And yeah, so
Great.
when I play this, I can feel.
What do you think of
just
that
like
trigger?
this. It's super comfortable.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
It is a very striking feature on this
Yeah.
horn. This horn, much like all other horns, they're available for sale today. As you were mentioning, you can call 1-800-472-6274.
Right.
Go to samash.com. You could also go to any Sam Ash music store. Go to your local Sam Ash music store, and you could buy any single horn from the Horns and Station collection. You could have it shipped directly to the store or directly to your house. We ship all of these horns within 24 hours of payment being tendered. We go through a selection process, as I mentioned, when we buy the horns in. When we take the horns in, we photograph them, we individually serialize. But one important distinction that we offer, we inspect them twice. We inspect every single horn when we get them in, and when you buy a horn, we make sure that we inspect it once again. We go over the horn, we take it to one of our many expert technicians. They go over the horn with a fine-tooth comb. We want to make sure that from the moment that you open up that box, that you get that horn to your door, it is good to go.
That's great.
No issues with the slides, no issues with the valves, no issues with anything with the instrument. We make sure it's well lubricated, it's ready to go. We'll make sure that the horn, we know that these horns are important to you, they're important to all of us. We want to make sure that every time that any horn that you select is ready to go, and whether it be a straight trombone, whether it be these trigger trombones, or we're going to move on to next, which are the bass trombones.
Wow. The bass ones.
Oh, the big
Jeff,
boys right
which
here.
one would you like me to hand you? I'm thinking maybe we save this one for last.
No, we're going to actually
Wanna do this one now?
We're going to go with that one now.
Okay.
Because we've been talking about all of our new instruments, and Horns of Distinction is not just new instruments. We also do used and vintage instruments.
Okay, so we got a pre-owned horn.
Yeah, this one is a Antoine Courtois Paris. It's a model AC 52. Sorry, 50-2. It's another
Nice.
bass trombone. This is a bass trombone. The ones that we were going before were the straight trombone, which sits in B flat. We got the trigger trombones, which sit in B flat and have an F trigger. This is unique. This has a much larger bell, but this goes down to B flat, F, and then to G. This is for concert situations where you require a much deeper, darker, heavier sound. This is, it's a heavier horn by far. It's got it's a dual trigger horn. As mentioned before, we have open wrap and close wrap. This one it's got all the wraps opened up, so that way the balance is on your shoulder. If it was closed wrap, all these the tubing here would be kind of wrapped around inside. You'd make for a very, very, very heavy, mid-heavy horn. It's going to be a little bit too top heavy. Not the case with this horn. This one is it's got some lacquer wear, but it's in excellent condition.
It
Otherwise,
really is.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there's a little bit here and there with the lacquer, but I think it's beautiful for like a vintage horn.
Yeah.
Is it vintage or just
It's
pre-owned?
not. It's not vintage.
Not
It's
vintage.
It's pre-owned. It's one of the nicer bass trombones we had throughout the chain.
Is there an advantage in buying a pre-owned horn?
Well, besides the savings, you can
Right.
get some hard to find instruments, some instruments that you normally wouldn't see every day. Something that again with all the new instruments and with all the pre-owned instruments, we do a double inspection process. We inspect it when we took it in. We're going to do another inspection when it arrives to your door. It's a great way to find something that you normally wouldn't see every day in your local music store or online.
Jeff, I'm going to play a little game with you right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to name a scenario, and you tell me if this horn can match it, if it'd be good for that scenario. You ready? Okay.
That's it.
Orchestra,
Yes.
wind ensemble,
Yes.
jazz,
I'm not quite so sure about jazz. Jazz, I'm going to let Chris handle that one.
When I was playing this before, also, keep in mind, so right now I'm actually just using a large bore tenor Bach 6.5A, so it's not necessarily a bass trombone mouthpiece, even though I'm playing it on a bass trombone. So that it's not going to have that as full of a bass trombone sound as it could with this mouthpiece, but that way I'm easier to demonstrate it right away to you guys, so you're not hearing me try to fix my lips every time I switch. But this trombone, even with a larger mouthpiece, it's still got a nice punchy sound that could still definitely be used in like a big band jazz setting as the bass trombone part.
So Chris, let me throw a couple more at you. So
Sure.
what about big band,
Definitely.
orchestra,
Yep.
brass quintet,
Yeah.
string quartet?
Probably not.
I thought I could get it.
However-
See, Jeff ruined my joke. He ruined my joke.
It might work for, if you're a string quartet, the cello player doesn't show up, actually you could probably get away with.
We'd have to commission a piece, string quartet with solo trombone.
Definitely.
Right, little concerto. Sounds good. Can we hear it?
Sure.
Let's hear it. Let's hear this non-vintage but pre-owned beautiful trombone. Nice. Now, Chris, did we say that this was a bass trombone?
That's right.
Can you give me a nice, low, clean note?
I don't know about clean.
Well,
Well, define
all right.
clean.
Brassy without peaking. Let's try to make that happen.
All right.
That's awesome. That sounds like the Staten Island Ferry or something. That's incredible. Great job, man. You sound great.
Thank you.
I love that horn. If there's any questions about any of these horns, please throw them up. I see we don't have any questions just yet, but should they come in, type them up. Let's see them. Are we moving on to the final?
The final one, which actually is another bass trombone.
I'll take this one from you guys.
Thank you.
So tell us about this one a little bit, Jeff.
This one is a Getzen. We're finishing off our horns with yet another American-made trombone. This is a bass trombone as well. This one is part of their custom series, which actually we have right now set with one lead pipe. But this particular trombone comes with 3 interchangeable lead pipes, different tapers for different response to different sound. I'm going to pull this one right out. Not all the way out. But if you're to buy this horn, it does come with 2 more. This one, all the trigger trombones that we're just looking at, the bass trombone from Courtois, the Conn, and the Bach, all have what's referred to as a standard flow valve. This is a Thayer style flow valve. It's an axial flow valve. If you can see there's a triangle-shaped valve here and a triangle-shaped valve here.
Very cool.
What this does is it changes the angle. Actually, I'm going to hold on to give this to Chris first. See if we can get some of. You're not going to really see the engraving, but it does have a very elaborate engraving. We did save the best for last. I'm going to hand this over to Chris because I'm going to explain what this type of valve does differently. Most of the time, when you have a flow valve, a trigger, what you're doing is you're moving the air flow from one pipe to another, and that trigger is a valve, and it just kind of moves where the flow of air is. This particular type of valve differs from the standard because the angle in which the stream moves, it's less of a break, it's less of a severe angle. So rather than the air going from a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle. It's more like a 17 or a 23-degree angle, which means that the air is not encumbered as much. It's more of a smooth airflow. There's less resistance as a result. You are going to get a cleaner sound. It's going to be a lot easier on the player.
So does that mean you can move air a little faster?
It does,
Is that the benefit?
Their Thayer valves are slightly more challenging to maintain than other ones, but in trade you get that easier airflow. So
Okay,
yeah,
they're
definitely.
a little higher maintenance.
Right.
Like in what way? Can you elaborate on that?
Pretty much just like the oiling of the
There's more
mechanisms,
moving
that kind of
parts
thing.
and
Yeah.
more things like that?
There's more moving parts
I
in it.
gotcha.
It is something that, as Chris said, will need some more maintenance, but it does take a very long time before you actually need that maintenance. And if you bring it to a trusted technician, your local SAMASH, will be able to, if not directly at the store, send it to one of our many expert technicians and be able to maintain that for you. It is something that the pros definitely outweigh any cons that
Right.
that this particular valve system will have. As I said, it's a much better angle for
Not
the
to
breakage.
say that this horn outweighs the con, right?
Well-
you said the pros outweigh the con, not the horn.
Well, I mean, this
I
horn
just wanna be
actually
clear.
does
like confusing.
outweigh the con because it is a much heavier horn.
Sheer weight, maybe not quality. We're not talking quality. Pound for pound, dollar for dollar.
You've gone off the rails with another pun.
Can you tell me a little bit more about, you mentioned something about 3 interchangeable parts that give you different tone?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, there's the lead pipe on this particular instrument, as I was showing before. Twist it out a little bit. It can.
Get a look at what you're talking about.
You could much easier without the mouthpiece on, but
you want me to
you
take
could. It's all right.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
This one, it has 3 different lead pipes, and each lead pipe has a slightly different taper to it. So it does change the overall sound, the resistance. It makes this horn very customizable. It makes it so that you take your preferred mouthpiece and you try out the 3 different lead pipes, and you can find a combination that really speaks to you, really gets the sound that you want, makes the playability that you want. It does make this a very unique horn compared to most other horns on the market. The more these, as I said, because these things can be customized to you, you can take this horn and you could have it with your mouthpiece, your armature, and your preferred lead pipe. You can make it sound completely different than someone else using the same exact instrument with their mouthpiece and their preferred lead pipe combination. We went in with the standard one. That's the one that we used in for demonstration purposes. But this one's a good, middle road. Not too much resistance. Not too much not too free blowing. It's a very good all-around lead pipe. And without any further ado,
Well, yeah, a little more ado.
okay.
Chris, let me ask you about that, because what sounds, my knowledge of trombones comes strictly from college, from being in wind ensemble, from being in orchestra, from being in band, that sort of thing. And so when you're talking about a pipe that gives you different personalities, different tonal choices, to me it sounds like that can help you stand out, but it may not be something that you want to stand out at, because when you're in a band world, you want to blend, you want to sound like the horn section. So I mean, what does that mean to you, having these different tonal options on your trombone?
So basically, for different settings, like you can choose, or well, I mean, if you're a trombone player who's playing on one specific style of mouthpiece and that's all you like to use, then there you go. If say you're playing with a lot of bass trombones that typically don't suit that style of mouthpiece very well, this one you can adjust it with that, so that way it kind of works for your own preference. But also, if you have different pieces you like to use for different ensembles or different settings, like if you're going to do more of like a solo bass trombone feature. If you do, by the way, congratulations that you got that. That it's not always easy to get. But yeah, so then you might just have a different size shank that you prefer to use for that, so you can switch it out. So that's the cool thing about it.
So you might be in an ensemble where you're the lead trombone person, and so you have a little more personality to your horn. And then maybe if you're in like an orchestra or a big band or something like that, maybe you have a different lead pipe. I mean, is this unfair, the things I'm saying, or?
Well, one of the things that you're mentioning that is great for is like, so if you are primarily like a lead player or somebody who usually plays tenor horn, but you're dying to play bass trombone as well. I mean, that's like me. I know a lot of trombone players. We either want lead or we want the bass, so we get the two best parts right. So so with this one, it makes it switching. I mean, like, so I'm usually a tenor. I play tuba too, but I'm usually generally a tenor trombone player. So but I can still play this without difficulty, really. Even
and by the way, he meant tuba as well. He usually gets the tuba 1 parts, not the tuba 2 parts. 'Cause he's that good. Let's hear it. I can't wait to hear it. Excellent. Was that everything that you expected out of that horn?
Everything and more.
Great. Excellent.
even more punch, especially for me. Like I said, usually being a guy that plays, for the most part, smaller horns. This is not a smaller horn, and I'm still able to, get enough air through it that it's still. Well, you can hear me.
So Chris, playing through all these horns, being a trombone player, I mean, do you understand the what we were trying to get across with horns of distinction? Do these seem like distinct, envious, beautiful horns to you?
Absolutely. I would be. I mean, if I was handed any one of these horns at a gig, I would be super pumped to play it, and I would have no problem.
So if I were to let you take any one home, you'd be happy with either horn. They're all great horns.
Oh, they're all fantastic.
Not that you're offering.
Not that I'm offering.
Unfortunately.
I mean, you can definitely go to 1-800-472-6274 or samash.com, and we can talk about it, Chris, but one of these days. Now, I did notice at the end of, I'm sorry, man, I'm not a trombone player. It looks like there's some bluing at the bottom here. Is that part of the horn? Is that just something that's attached to it that you can remove, or is that part of the horn?
That's actually from shipping, from wrapping up. This is nickel silver at the end, so this is just some protective tape that
okay, so that's
that
not
came
part
with.
of the horn.
Something that we
sometimes you see bluing in metal. I didn't know if that was part of it.
No, that's mostly with woodwinds. You'll see blued steel on the springs, but
steel.
not to be confused with any kind of fashion look. But no, this is just truth be told, something that we missed when we were unpacking. It's something that we'll probably leave on until this horn comes to your door. It does protect the nickel silver, so why not leave it on?
Well, look at the engraving.
Yeah, it's
look
very.
At it. It's beautiful.
This has got the most elaborate engraving. It's the biggest horn that we got here. We wanted to
I love
save
those,
the best for last.
I forget what you called them, but the triangular
Thayer
pieces.
valves.
Yeah,
Thayer
those.
valves, yeah.
I mean, just from a sheer artistic, aesthetic look, being a guy who doesn't play trombone, that's just a cool looking trombone. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to appreciate it for what it is. Man, that thing looks cool. I like that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And this week, a President's Day sale. You could call us up.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dave. Look at the engraving.
Oh yeah. We actually, now I can see that we have it on the screen. This horn can be yours today. Go to samash.com, go to your nearest Samash music store, give us a call, 1-800-472-6274. And don't hesitate, because as I said, these horns are going out. We had a Schilke go out today. We're having another horn actually right after the stream is over. I have to make sure that we get another horn out to another deserving customer. So all of these horns and more can be yours. So give us a call.
Sure.
See us online.
Yeah, definitely check out our social media channels at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, share this with others. The trombone players in your lives that you know would enjoy a nice trombone. You know, we didn't get a lot of questions on this stream as we normally do, but I think I know why. I think these were just so well defined. I think we went through every inch of them, and it was great. I don't think there's anything left to answer. I think we went through one by one. So thank you for joining us in our live stream. Like Jeff said, check them out at samash.com, 1-800-472-6274. I'm Dave Stutts. This is Jeff Galperin. And Chris, please play us out, sir.
Sure.